Picture this: Glasgow Airport, the morning of December 19th, 1969. The air is crisp, Christmas is just around the corner, and the airport is buzzing with the usual holiday rush. But amidst the chaos of travelers and luggage, something far more valuable is on the move. A security van, seemingly ordinary, is transporting a massive consignment of gold bullion destined for a flight to London. The total haul: £300,000. In today's money, that's roughly equivalent to £5.5 million. An absolute fortune, just sitting on the tarmac. This wasn't just any gold, it was a shipment from the famous Royal Bank of Scotland, heading to the Bank of England. The security protocols were, for the time, considered robust. The gold was loaded onto a British European Airways Vickers Vanguard plane, Flight BE411. The crew and ground staff went about their business, completely unaware that they were being watched. A group of men, disguised in plain sight, had been meticulously planning what would become one of Scotland's most audacious heists. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. The thieves knew the airport's layout, the flight schedules, and the security routines like the back of their hand. They had insider knowledge, a crucial element for a crime of this scale. As the gold bars were being loaded into the aircraft's hold, the thieves made their move. There was no dramatic shootout, no high-speed chase across the runway. Instead, it was a swift, professional operation executed with military precision. They drove a Land Rover, painted to mimic an official airport vehicle, right up to the plane. Dressed in overalls, they blended in perfectly with the ground crew. The few people who noticed them simply assumed they were part of the authorized personnel. The real security guards were either distracted or simply outnumbered and caught off guard. The thieves quickly overpowered the guards responsible for the gold, using minimal force. They knew that speed and surprise were their greatest weapons. In a matter of minutes, they transferred the heavy gold bars from the aircraft's hold into their own vehicle. It was a brazen act, carried out in broad daylight, surrounded by potential witnesses. Yet, the sheer audacity of it all seemed to paralyze everyone. Before the alarm could be properly raised, the Land Rover was speeding away from the tarmac, melting back into the city traffic of Glasgow, and vanishing without a trace. The entire operation was over in less than 10 minutes. When the airport authorities and the police finally pieced together what had happened, they were left stunned. A fortune in gold had been snatched from right under their noses. The immediate aftermath was a scene of organized chaos. The police launched a massive investigation, codenamed Operation Robbery. Roadblocks were set up all over Glasgow and the surrounding areas. Every port, every railway station, was on high alert. The theory was that the gang couldn't get far with such a heavy and conspicuous loot. The media went into a frenzy. Headlines screamed about the Great Glasgow Gold Robbery. It was a story that captured the public's imagination. Who were these daring criminals? Were they a local gang or a sophisticated international outfit? The police were under immense pressure to get results, and fast. They interviewed hundreds of airport staff, witnesses, and known criminals. The getaway Land Rover was found abandoned a short time later, but it offered few clues. It had been wiped clean of any fingerprints. The investigation, led by Detective Chief Superintendent William Munsey, a legendary figure in Scottish policing, was one of the largest in the country's history. Munsey was known for his sharp mind and relentless pursuit of justice. He suspected from the beginning that this was an inside job. The thieves' knowledge of the airport's procedures was too detailed for them to be outsiders. The focus of the investigation quickly turned inward, examining everyone who had access to the flight and cargo information. Despite the intensity of the manhunt, the gang seemed to have disappeared into thin air. And more importantly, so had the gold. Speculation was rampant. Had it been melted down immediately? Was it buried somewhere in the Scottish countryside? Or had it already been smuggled out of the country? The police followed up on thousands of leads, but each one seemed to lead to a dead end. The gang had planned their escape as meticulously as they had planned the robbery itself. Weeks turned into months, and the trail grew colder. The pressure on Detective Munsey and his team was immense. The public and the press wanted arrests. But the thieves had left behind very little evidence. Then, a breakthrough. It wasn't a fingerprint or a drop clue, but good old-fashioned police work and informant chatter. The whispers in Glasgow's criminal underworld started to point towards one name, James Griffiths. Griffiths was a well-known figure in the city's criminal circles. He had a reputation for being clever, ambitious, and involved in major crimes. The police began to watch him, building a case piece by piece. They discovered that Griffiths had recently come into a lot of money, living a lifestyle that was far beyond his known means. He was spending lavishly, which is often the downfall of even the most careful criminals. The police finally made their move and arrested Griffiths and several of his associates. The subsequent trial was a sensation. The prosecution laid out the case, detailing how Griffiths had masterminded the entire operation. They presented evidence of his sudden wealth and his connections to the airport. Although the police couldn't find the gold itself, they had a strong circumstantial case against the gang members. In the end, James Griffiths and 3 other men were found guilty for their roles in the heist. Griffiths, the mastermind, received a hefty prison sentence. The convictions were a major victory for the police, a testament to their persistence in the face of a seemingly perfect crime. Justice, it seemed, had been served. But the story doesn't end there. One crucial element remained missing: the gold. To this day, the £300,000 worth of gold bullion has never been recovered. Not a single bar. It's one of the most enduring mysteries in Scottish criminal history. What happened to it? The most popular theory is that it was quickly melted down into smaller and traceable pieces and sold off through a network of illicit dealers. Melting gold is not a simple process, especially on that scale, which suggests the gang had access to some serious resources, perhaps even a foundry. Another theory is that the gold was smuggled abroad, piece by piece, over a long period. Given the weight and bulk, this would have been a risky and complex operation. Yet another, more romantic notion is that the gold is still out there somewhere, buried in a secret location, waiting to be found. It's the stuff of treasure hunting legends. Imagine stumbling upon a stash of gold bars from 1969 hidden in the Scottish Highlands. The Glasgow airport gold robbery remains a landmark case. It exposed vulnerabilities in airport security that led to major changes in how valuable cargo is transported worldwide. It showcased the effectiveness of old-school detective work in an era before DNA and widespread CCTV. And it created a legend that still fascinates crime enthusiasts today. It was a crime of audacity, precision, and nerve. The men who carried it out were not just common thugs, they were planners, strategists who saw weakness and exploited it brilliantly. While they were eventually caught and punished, their ultimate prize, the gold, remains elusive, a ghostly fortune that vanished from the Glasgow tarmac and into history. It's a reminder that sometimes, even when the criminals are caught, the crime itself can live on as a mystery for the ages. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into incredible true crime stories. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to the gold. See you in the next one.